revolutionary objectivism, and reactionary subjectivism. Being a revolutionary, we have to have a political maturity that will allow us to accept constructive criticism. Oftentimes, when we look at things from a subjective standpoint, we take criticism as a personal attack. Constructive criticism is designed as a corrective measure, designed to correct our behavior, correct policies, or whatever the case may be. A lot of times we take this constructive criticism negatively because this is what you call reactionary subjectivism, because you're looking at things subjectively and you're taking it personal. I recall one time I was critiquing a program that a Black Panther had recently, about a year ago, and he took it personal. I said, "Oh, I'm good, comrade." He took it personal. I said, "Well, this was not an attack on you." I said, "Look at the program itself." And this is what I mean. You judge the program based on the success it has on the people, not because you created the program. I've initiated many programs, and they fail. And I accept the responsibility of this failed program. And I went right back to the drawing board. I accepted that constructive criticism because it wasn't about me. I asked the brother, I told him, check this out. You step outside your front door. You create a program specifically designed to achieve a specific objective. It has not been achieved. This is constructive criticism. You go back to the community. You go back to the people and ask them, what services can we provide that will provide this need? Oftentimes, people ignore the people and impose an ideal and concept on the people without even interacting with them. When I was young, growing up as a Black Panther cub, one of the things my father had me to do is go door to door. I went door to door in the community with a clipboard, and I asked, what do you need? What can we do to provide that need in your service? Because it's about them. Now, when you put together a program, and that program is not serving the purpose it was intended to serve, if you're a true leader and you're a true revolutionary, you go back and reevaluate that program. You go back. Yeah. I hear you. You got to go back and reevaluate that program. If I have a program that is committed to eradicating hunger and starvation in this immediate community, but hunger and starvation still exists, I have to go back and look at my program. If this program was specifically designed, and this is why I was explaining to the brothers that you have to learn from the past. I grew up in the Panther Party. They were the first one to start passing out grocery bags of food. But they also understood that alone do not eradicate hunger and starvation. It is a necessary, immediate response to hunger and starvation. Don't get me wrong, it is needed. Just like community gardens are needed. But we have to focus on how do we eradicate hunger and starvation. We have to establish our own Department of Agriculture, separate from the government, separate from this fascist state. We must control our food. Think about this. We all agree that we live in a fascist, racist society, a government that don't give a damn about us, but yet they control our food source, our water source, our education. How in the hell is that? How in the hell is that? It's like different organizations. Let me jump over this here real quick. One of the things I was explaining to the brother too is that whoever control your purse, control your organization. You have to have your own source of resources, your own source of economics. Because if you constantly depend on donations coming from outside forces, they control your organization. Because your organization and their programs depend on those outside donations. So whoever control your purse, control your organization. Can't get around that. Especially if you rely and depend on those donations. It's no different when we look at the bigger struggle. Whoever control your food source, your water source, control you. Even if you have money, so well, I can afford to feed my kids, but you still contain within that box. You still contain within the dictates of this fascist state, no matter what you say, because you still are being constrained by the powers that be under their rule of thumb. Simple as that. This is relevant because when we speak about revolutionary objectivism, it's science. and reevaluate and look at what we're doing. Subjective reactionaryism or reactionary subjectivism is when we fail to look at history. We fail to reevaluate what we have established or what we put in place. You have to consistently reevaluate everything that you do if it's really about the people. So if you implement a program, that program must be daily evaluated, meaning I'm going to go back today and see what impact this program is having on our people. What impact is it having? You can make those adjustments as you go. That's why it's important to go back day to day and reevaluate your program. If you don't reevaluate your program, it's going to fail the people. And if it fails the people, you have failed. You cannot blame the failure on the people, especially when you call yourself a vanguard, a revolutionary. You have taken on the responsibility of protecting and defending the people. That's your responsibility. You've obligated yourself and pledged your life to protect the people. So when you're doing a program or when you implement a program that's specifically designed to achieve a specific objective and the people rely and depend on that leadership and that program failed, that's your failure. So when a person tries to provide you with constructive criticism in that area, you shouldn't take it from a subjective standpoint, well, he attacking me. No, we saying let's readjust our programs to fit the needs of the people. Can't get around that. And what I mean by readjust the programs, we have to constantly reevaluate the program daily. And we have a program, we say, if this program is designed to address certain basic needs in our community, and those basic needs are not met, then you have to reevaluate, meaning go to the community, go to the people door to door, and ask, what are we doing, and what can we do better to serve your needs? This is the program we have right now. The objective of the program, the purpose of our program, this is it. But we can see from an objective standpoint, being politically mature, that this program is not fulfilling the needs of our people. As a revolutionary objectivist, you can see this without being critical. You can see this without someone telling you, hey man, that program is not working. Because from a scientific perspective, we're going to constantly evaluate every program that we put together. We're going to reevaluate these programs on a day-to-day basis. We're going to constantly assess and reassess if we're serious about the struggle. One of the things we have to understand as revolutionaries, we're not going to win in our time. Our objective is to establish a foundation that will allow our future generations to achieve that victory. We have to stabilize our community. And we can do that without working with the pigs. We can resolve the crime and gang problems in our community without working with the pigs or the government. We don't need that. But this is something that must be done. As long as our community is unstable, we're going to be fighting from a weak position, a position of weakness. We'll never be able to make any effective gain because we don't have the capacity to achieve that. When I tell these individuals, me and my comrades, we're focused on prepping our community. What that means is this is the foundation for our future. If you cannot overcome those contradictions in your community, how do you supposed to overcome when you become a nation as a people? If you can't govern our people on a local level, how do you think they're going to support you talking about independence? You couldn't govern me on the block. How in the hell are you going to govern me on a nation? That's what I mean by we have to prep our community. We have to develop our own community-based institutions that can serve the needs of our people. We control these institutions. Our campaign is to make sure that we can purchase every home in our community, own every business in our community, develop our own schools, develop our own hospitals, our own clinics, our own buses and transportation system. These things can be done. You plant a seed, and each generation build from that. Nurture that seed, water that seed, cultivate that seed. So 30, 40, 50 years from now, we'll have our own hospital. We'll have our own schools. We'll have our own transportation system. We'll have our own health system. This can be done. Again, that's part of the process. And I'm going to get to that. That's part of the process in terms of, that's part of the struggle. Not just how do we reach our young people, You know, it's how to reach these old fools as well. But this part of the struggle, it's always been part of the struggle. One of the first stages of the struggle is the mind, winning the people over. We have to understand our youngsters. You know, for example, we have a lot of young brothers that's involved in gang activities. You have to understand that. You have to be in there and understand that. You're not going to get rid of these gangs. They're going to always be there. So the objective is, how do we transform those street organizations into revolutionary formation in the service of the people in the community? We have to find a common thread that will unite them. Taking away that from them, they're going to fight and resist every day. Because that's the government's plan. That's a plan that's owned by this fascist, racist government. That's not our plan. Our plan is not to eradicate these street organizations. Our plan is to transform them into something that's going to serve our community and our Republic of New Africa, our nation. That's our objective. It's not going to happen overnight. We have to put the foundation in place. We have to put the blueprint in place. That's not something that you can speak to in 10, 20, 30 minutes. It's something that you have to implement. We have what we call Operation Hip Hop Rescue. And what that is that we have been able to identify one common thread among all these street organizations. They love hip hop. They love rap. They're part of the hip hop culture. So the things that we have to do, I was a gangster too, my brother. And I was a Crip. One original. So what we have to do is find that common thread and build a program on that common thread. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, I give you another example. In California prison system, there was a race war that started back in the 50s and 60s. And our revolutionary formation was at the forefront of that. We did something that the pigs couldn't stop. We did something that they didn't even try to stop. Back in 2000, I wrote the original blueprint towards the end of hostility. The blueprint that I wrote in 2000 came to fruition in 2014, which ended the war between the warring factions. This allows now to focus on getting out of solitary confinement. I spent almost 33 years in solitary confinement. So we understood that if we end the war among the races, it'd be easier for us to get out of isolation, because the government was using the violence among these groups to justify why they kept it in a hold this long. So once we was able to do that, again, another point I'm making, and this is why I want to go back here, it took from 2000 to 2013. It's a protracted struggle. It's a protracted process. When I first wrote that blueprint, not many people agreed with it. But we understand that nothing is static. There's ongoing evolution and development in the environment, the political climate, and the mindset of the people, where the conditions that existed in both Pelican Bay State Prison and Corcoran State Prison, they had to say, okay, those conditions that, damn, man, we should have been listening to them brothers a long time ago. Because they understood we would be more effective in getting out these isolation units if we end the war in general population. It took years. Like I said, that war almost 60 years, from Comrade George Jackson, Bunchy Carter, James Carr, all the way to like 2013. A bloodbath. But we was able to eradicate that because we understand that the struggle is protracted. But also, we utilize our science. We analyze some conditions, and based on that analyzation of the conditions, we was able to create programs, ideas, concepts, blueprints. When we say concrete analysis of the concrete conditions, you must be able to fully understand the conditions in order to develop an ideal or concept. Oftentimes, people come with these ideas out of their ass, and they don't meet the immediate conditions because they did not do their homework. Understanding the condition also entails going door to door. When I was growing up in the Panther as a cub, my father had me doing that. I went door to door, asking questions. I took the information back to my father and the other comrades. They used that information. Now, I was not the only one, it was like 10 of us that was Panther Cubs that used to collect this information. When we brought the information back, how do we implement the 10-party platform? And then one of the things people need to understand, the party platform is not just a program or idea for a program. It's the basis blueprint towards building institutions. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's the institution that we must build, not programs. Programs are a temporary fix. But programs is also the blueprint towards building institutions. And that's what we must do. Having an objective perspective will give you the political maturity that you need to be able to make that constant assessment of all the particulars, which is relevant. You have to be able to accept constructive criticism. That's important. Not just constructive criticism from your comrades or outsiders, but a constructive criticism of yourself. You always have to ask yourself if you're going to reach that political maturity level. A lot of people is not capable of accepting constructive criticism or criticism otherwise. Even when someone give me negative criticism, I'm not going to respond subjectively or emotionally, because it doesn't serve no purpose. I'll look at the criticism, I analyze it, and see if anything in that destructive criticism apply to me. Because as a revolutionary, I'm trying to improve myself. None of us are perfect. But if I'm making a mistake, if I'm doing something that's contradicting to our beliefs and constitution, I want to know. You know? So when I look at this criticism, maybe destructive or constructive, if it's constructive, I'm going to take it and apply it to myself and to whatever programs we may have. If it's destructive in nature, I'm still going to make an assessment out of that. Because it might be something that I can use. If not, I just push it to the side and keep on moving. But I'm not going to sit here and argue and debate with a fool that I know that Nat Turner would have killed. I'm not going to do that. I don't do that. You know, we're revolutionaries. I do not debate with fools that are not involved in revolutionary. I'm not going to do that. As like the post I put up today on Facebook with regards to the psychologist who wanted to interview me and talking about he going to help me cope with my experience. I spent 32, almost 33 years in solitary confinement. First of all, fool, you cannot help me. I survived that on my own. You have not spent one day in solitary confinement. How in the hell are you going to help me? I helped myself, and here I am now, still mentally stable after all that you tried to do to me. But these clowns are arrogant to the point where they really thought they can come 30-something years later and talk about, I can help you. And I told that, you better dismiss yourself, fool. I'll be back in the hole. But what I'm saying is that that's the arrogance I'm speaking on. And that arrogance also exists on the left. It also exists among revolutionaries. And that is one aspect that holds us back. Because if you have a good idea, and an idea is good, but it needs to be reevaluated, reshaped, but if you're not listening to nobody, it's an idea that can go to waste. And if you're serious about the people, if you're really serious about the people, you're going to step back and look at that idea. And I've always tell people this as well. This is from an objective standpoint. If a brother tell me, or a comrade tell me, or a sister tell me that, hey, man, you slipping. We think that so-and-so is more qualified than you to lead. I'm not going to argue with that. Because if this is the collective consensus, I'm going to step back with no emotion, not whatsoever. If this person, brother or sister, is more qualified than me, I'm going to step back. And I'm going to aid and assist that person with no emotions involved. Because it's about success. If this sister or brother is more qualified than me to hold this position, and they are more successful in executing the task of this organization, and then, hey, I'm there with you. Because the success of our organization and the success of our movement is more important than you holding on to some type of position. And that's what I mean in terms of revolutionary objectivism and reactionary subjectivism. Because if I get all emotions, oh man, the hell with that, I'm gone. I was never true to the organization. I was never true to the revolution. Because I got my feelings hurt. And this is what I mean by political maturity. Political maturity allows you to accept constructive criticism. Because you use that criticism for growth and development. You don't say, I'm going to take my fire engine home and go play in the sandbox. That is an immature individual. He or she is far from being a revolutionary. Because as a revolution, you don't respond from an emotional standpoint. Because being subjective tends to distort certain elements that is not really there. And when you respond subjectively to an issue, it's your heart talking and not the scientific process that needs to be in place. Especially like, I got a saying where brothers say, well, man, Abdul, I think so-and-so don't like you. I said, okay, what they got to do with me? I'm not here to be liked or disliked. I'm a revolutionary, a guerrilla in the service of my people. The only thing that matters to me is how I serve them. If they tell me, Abdul, you need to step it up, I'm going to step it up. It has nothing to do with like or dislike. I'm not here to be liked. I'm not here to I care less if you like me or not. It don't matter. The only thing that matters is the liberation of my people. Period. I'm blood in and blood out. I've done both since I've been around. So I'm blood in and blood out all day. But it's always going to be in the best interest of our people. This is relevant in terms of revolutionary objectivism versus reactionary subjectivism. Right now, that reactionary subjectivism is killing us. It is straight killing us because you have those brothers and sisters in place that refuse to self-evaluate themselves or reevaluate their programs in place. And when you don't reevaluate your programs in place, it stays stagnant. It's not growing. And when you say stagnant, it's really dying. Because it is not growing nowhere. That's why you have to make that scientific assessment every day. You have to make that scientific assessment every day. You have to be able to look at your programs and ask yourself, what can I do better? You have to. This is mandatory if you're serious about serving the people. I told one sister, she was saying during Kwanzaa that one day they speak about unity. I told her sister, unity is 365 days a year, like Black August. 365 days a year is Black August. When you talk about unity, it's what you do every day, not that one day of Kwanzaa, Umoja. What you do is this. You do 364 days a year of trying to build unity, and on that day of Kwanzaa, you speak on what you did. You bring more people together. One of the things when we were growing up in the 60s and 70s, I knew everybody in my community. So we understand that unity is an effort that you must make. Yelling out don't mean nothing. I went door to door. I knew every single person in my immediate community by name, their history, and I went door to door talking to them elders. That's one of the reasons why I stayed out of trouble when I was young. I was with the elders more than anybody else. I knew every elder in my community. I knew what time they went to sleep. And then I introduced them. I introduced Mrs. Cooper to Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith she grown grapes in the backyard. Mrs. Cooper grew big giant collard greens and cabbage. And we did that barter system. Each person contributing towards that process. But Mrs. Cooper did not know Mrs. Smith. But I explained to Miss Cooper, and I was like 13 years old. I explained to Miss Cooper the importance of us knowing each other, supporting one another. And you guys know who's old enough to know the 60s and 70s was different. And again, that effort will pay off, but it's something that you have to work for. This yelling out unity is nothing. If you have a revolutionary organization that do not know anybody personal in the community other than those who support the organization, they need to be constructively criticized. If the people don't know who you are, and they don't have a personal relationship with you or your organization, if you look at back in the 60s and 70s, the Black Panther Party, Nation of Islam, Black Liberation Army, you name these groups that exist during that time, there was a personal relationship with the community. Every time you step out your back door, you've seen them. I've never seen a member of the Urban League or the NAACP. Never. I've seen Black Panthers. I knew Black Panthers. I've seen Black Liberation Army members. I knew Black Liberation Army members. I knew Republic of New Africa. That's all I see every day. That's all I seen. So that was my major influence. But they were door to door. I knew who they were, personally. Because they made that effort to connect. Not just at the free breakfast program. That was just another meeting place where they get to meet the parents of the kids that they were feeding. You have to build a strong relationship. That's one way you get through that menticide, that slave mentality. Because if you don't know them, how can you reach them? If you don't make an effort to know them, why would they listen to you? Give me a reason why I should listen to you. When you call yourself a revolutionary and you walk right by my house and say nothing to me. Right by my house. But wait a minute, you're a revolutionary. How are you serving me when you don't even know me? And that's why the Panthers and the Nation of Islam back in them days was very effective. Even the Black Liberation Army and other groups. Because they went door to door. We knew who they was. They made a conscious effort to go door to door. Talk to us. Ask us what we need. What can we do better? What can you do in the service of the people? And again, for those who know my lives, I'll always mention this. And it's relevant because it is a point that have yet to be focused on. Hurricane Katrina happened in 2005. This is 2022. Almost approximately 17, almost 18 years later. And we still, as a people, not as an individual, as a people, still not prepared for a natural disaster. But yet, soon something happened, we'll blame the government. Wait a minute, this is the same government you say that didn't represent us. This is the same government you say that is fascist, racist, capitalistic, imperialist. This is the same government now. So as revolutionaries, I say, where are we? It is our responsibility. We should have been preparing our communities, not just in New Orleans, not just in Mississippi, not just in the South, but throughout the country, preparing because you got some areas that deal with hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfire, earthquakes. So we must prepare each community based on their immediate needs. You look at Louisiana right now, New Orleans, they still to this day not prepared for a natural disaster. But yet you got all those revolutionaries in that area that's talking that talk. They pointing the fingers at the government. Okay, but this is the same government that we know don't give a damn about us. I don't expect nothing from them. But if you're a revolutionary, I expect something from your ass. You just tell me what the government did. I don't need that. I know what they did. It wasn't there. I don't expect nothing from them. But what are you doing for us? What are you doing to prepare us for the next disaster or crisis? You the revolutionary. You the vanguard. You say you my government. But what are you doing for me? I still don't know what to do during a natural disaster. And that's what the people are saying. But yet, you're a revolutionary. You're a servant of the people. You're a vanguard. But yet, soon something happen, we'll blame that white man or the government. But where were you at as a revolutionary? What stopped you from preparing us? What stopped you from providing us with the information that we need to survive a natural disaster or crisis, to defend and protect our community, our women, our children, our elders? Where were you? Where were you? And these are things that we have to understand. If we say that we are revolutionaries, then it's our job and responsibility to be there for the people, to provide them with the skills that they need. And this is when we speak about revolutionary maturity. We can't keep blaming the white men and government when we as revolutionists fail to provide those same services. I'm going to show you another example of reactionary subjectivism. I was kicking it with one brother. He's part of the new Black Panther. And it was constructive criticism. I said, brother, if you look in the past, we passed out grocery bags with food in it. The Panthers. And I grew up in the Panthers. But that is only a temporary fix. The basic for eradicating the hunger and starvation problem in our community is building an institution that will allow us to control our own food source. And he said, well, man, Abdul, you're not right on that. We pass out grocery bags every day for the people. This show our independence. I said, okay, check this out, bro. Now I'm talking to him. He's at his house. I said, get one of them grocery bags that you talking about. He wouldn't go get it. I told him, pour that grocery bag on the table. He poured it on the table. Now I asked him, point to one of those food items that is controlled by us, grown on our farms, produced by us. He couldn't. Every food item you pull out that bag belonged to our enemy, the fascists, the racists, the ones you say don't respect or support us. Every food item belonged to them. The package that wrapped that food belonged to them. The very paper bag you got it in belonged to them. Who control your food can also control you. I understand the need for community gardens. I understand the need for passing out grocery bags. But in the meantime, we should also be in the process of acquiring our own land and developing our own community farms and our own community markets, where the food that we sell in the markets come directly from our farm. The packaging come directly from our factories. And that can be done. Overnight? No. We're not saying nothing about overnight. We understand that the struggle, the revolution is a protracted process. It is protracted. But what we can do, lay down the blueprint, the foundation, so each generation can build from there. Me and my brother, my comrade, Joga Shima Jinsai, we in prison, in a prison cell, and we acquire 15 acres of land, and we acquire 18 acres of land. We got 5-6 acres that we're going to use for cash crop, like hemp products. Then we will produce food on the others. Then we will build a community-based center like the Math and Science Center, teaching our people how the importance of math and science, because this is important. We cannot survive in this world without being advanced in math and science. So we will have the New African Math and Science Center's first location on this land. And we've done this from a prison cell. It can be done. Understand something. I am not destructive criticizing no one. I'm saying that continue to pass out grocery bags because it's necessary. Our people need that. Continue to produce community farms. We should have community farms in every community. Our whole entire community should be a food basket. Instead of growing grass and unnecessary and stuff, everything should be food. The backyard, the front yard, everything. Everything. But in the meantime, and that's what we have to do to address the immediate issues. But that must be backed by an institution. We have a blueprint, the New African, Pan-African Global Community Department of Agriculture, developing our own agriculture that will provide food. We got two brothers that own their own trucks. The thing is, we're putting these things in place. It's not going to happen in our time. But producing these farms that we're doing right now is going to happen in our time. We're working on them right now. And they're all 100% ours. We don't owe white folks, nobody, nothing. So what I'm saying is that this is what we must do. If it's really about serving our people, we have to look long term. Yes, I can give you a grocery bag with a chicken, some canned goods and all that, and you take home. It lasts 2-3 days, but you'll be back again. How long will we continue this process? Because I can give you the same bag 3 days from now, you'll be back again. But now I'm depending on the pantries and donations. Now let's say that dried up, or the government interference dry that up. Now what do? Where the government, and we know this on the COINTELPRO, they will shut down these food pantries for whatever reason. The health department said, well, they got an infestation of rats or whatever. They have to shut it down. The very source you was getting your food from is now shut down. Now where you get your food at now? Remember, who can control your food can control you. Because now the very source, and a lot of people out there don't think like that because they're not thinking scientifically or in a revolutionary sense. I understand that food belongs to my enemy. I understand that the government can control that at any time. I'm not going to put my people in that position where they have to depend on that. That's why community gardens is important. Not just one, not two. Every area in our community should be a garden. We should have fruit trees up and down the street. We should be raising chickens for eggs and whatever else. That can be done. That's doable. So when they do shut down our pantry, we still have the means to feed our people. We still acquiring land, build people's farms, to go in these people's markets. If we stop going to these markets in our community, force them to shut down. Stop. Let's go somewhere else. At some point, they will be forced to sell. Then that's when we come along and say, we'll buy this from you. Because you're not going to get no service no more in this community. We'll buy this from you. The people's store is not about making profit. It's about sustaining itself from the food that we sell, go back into the people's market and go back to people's farm. It's not a capitalist process. It's a scientific socialist process. A collective work responsibility, a cooperative economics, ujima, ujuma. These things can be done if we are committed to this revolution or committed to the struggle. We have to understand it's protracted. Community farms, let me say this again, is critical. We really need them throughout the community. Can't get around that, because that is the next step. Even when we develop our own Department of Agriculture, the community farms still have to exist. And then the grocery bags that we provide our people, everything in that bag will be ours. We must also develop our own food, our water source. They can cut the water off all day. And we already know in some areas the water is not even drinkable, but we've been drinking it. And our people are dying as a direct result. They control our water flow. I was explaining this to some revolutionary brothers and sisters who say they're down with the revolution. I told them just like this. And this is what I told them. I say, have you ever heard of the Insurrection Act? None of them heard of it. So I asked them, how can you defend the community when you have no knowledge of how they will respond during the insurrection? So I got past that, and I said, okay, let me explain certain things. According to the Insurrection Act, these are some things they're going to do. They're going to identify the specific target, the community. They're going to isolate that community, and then they're going to cut the water and power off. As revolutionaries, the people are going to look towards you to resolve that contradiction. My power is off. The food in my refrigerator is going to go bad. My water is off. You didn't prepare me for this? You didn't know that this is what they're going to do? I guarantee you 67% of the people in that community are going to turn against the revolution. Because now they're suffering. Because you did not prepare them. You did not prep the community for that. And the brother said, damn, man, I didn't think about that. And this is what I'm saying. That's why you have to understand the importance of revolution objectivism. It is providing constructive criticism when needed as only a means to correct and build. If I know that the water can be poisoned and that the very government that we say is racist fast to control that water supply, we must develop our own water source in the community during time of emergency. I also explained to the brothers this. One of the things they're going to be doing, not only are they going to cut the water off, they're going to put a sleeping agent in the water. And this is all in the Insurrection Act. They will put two things in the water, a strong laxative that will cause the community to have diarrhea, and a sleeping agent to have the community asleep. Even these activists is not prepared. So what you have is not a revolution no more. You got a bunch of our people in revolutionary dead asleep shitting on themselves. Ain't fighting, ain't defending. This is a contradiction that can be resolved. Creating our own power source. Using every space for our own solar panel and other forms of energy. Creating our own water source. Creating our own community-based water supply. This can be done. And we focus our attention in these areas. If we're serious about this struggle. I remember one brother asked me, Abdul, I hear people keep talking about this government. The Republic of New Africa, the government, where are they? And I took that same question to the comrades. Where are they? Because if we can't govern our own community, you can get the nation stuff out your head. Because the issue that you're going to have to deal with as a nation will be more complex than the issue you're dealing with as a community. You win the community over by serving them and resolving their contradiction on this level. That's how you're going to win them over to success. Identify those problems and build an institution to address those issues. The Panthers made an attempt to do that. The mobile clinic was just one idea. They had stationary clinics. And they had an idea to build hospitals. But due to the COINTELPRO, it didn't get that far. But that was the right idea. It doesn't change. Republic of New Africa is doing the same thing. The idea wasn't a failure. The idea is still proven to this day that we must do these things. How often do we complain about the transportation system? The cabs won't come in my community. How often do we have to complain about the healthcare system? Especially as it relates to our people. And our only response is to point the finger at the very people that we know don't give a damn about us? That is our response? Now, our response is to build our own clinics, first and foremost. Our mobile clinics and our stationary clinics in the community, while we build for the resources or obtain the resources that will allow us to build our own hospitals, develop our own medical supplies. We have to do this. We need to get brothers and sisters in MIT and these other high-tech schools so they can learn the technology. We need to create community-based math and science centers that are going to teach our people the technology so we can build our own solar energy, our own water plants. This can be done because this is a protracted process. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to see it in our time. That's a fact. Because what we're going through didn't happen overnight. Over 400 years of this. And this is what you see. But we start to lay down the blueprint for being independent. The independence is going to start in your home. And then it's going to start in the community. Then the future generation can use it as a blueprint to fight for independence against this nation. This racist, fascist America. But get that out your head. If you can't win your community, you're not going to win no struggle. Because in order for you to win the struggle, you have to first establish your community base. You can't find out one revolution in this whole entire world where they did not have a base to operate from. They did that first. They prepped the community. They prepped their territory. And what I'm saying is that if I'm a revolutionary and I'm fighting for my people, them pigs should never be able to find me. Because there should be safe houses throughout the community. If I'm on a run, I should be able to pick up water at this house or that backyard. The dogs in the backyard should know me so that if I'm being chased, they won't let them in. I can pick up water, drink some water, run through the alley, go across the alley to another house. Give me some food there. That's what I mean by prepping. I can go to a house where they'll never be able to find me. I can go to another house and re-up. Give me some more ammunition. That's what I mean by prepping the community. The community should be prepped for liberation. It should be prepped. If you look at Israel, I'll give you another example. When we came out of our Holocaust, we didn't say never again. We said, can I sit at your counter? Can I sit on the front of your bus? Can I be a part of your capitalist system while you kick me in my ass? The Jews, they didn't say that. They said never again. And all you have to do is look at Israel. How they built Israel. Israel is based on their Holocaust. Israel is based on their Holocaust. And they said never again. Every male and woman that turned their age 18 that is mentally capable is required by law to join the military. 2 years for female, 3 years for male. Mandatory. So now you have a militarization, a militarized society, where everybody, just the average person down the street, has the ability to kick off in your ass, has the ability to use weapons, protect and defend. Because what they saying, what the Germans did to them in the 40s, never happened again. But how about us? When we came out of our Holocaust, we haven't came out yet. It's not even over with yet. We said, can we please get along? Can I ride the bus with you? Eat at your counter? And that's why nothing changed. I remember one NWC member, he asked me, no, he did. He told me. He said, Brother Abdul, I'm telling you right now, we have made progress. And I don't understand how you revolutionists think we didn't make no progress. So I gave him this analogy. I said, check this out, man. Let's say, and I gave him an example. Let's say 200 years ago, we had 20 boots up our ass. Oh no, let's say we had 100 boots up our ass, 100 knees on our neck, right? So let's say we moved it up to, because this dialogue took place in 2021. So let's say 2021, we have 87 boots on our neck, all right, and 87 boots up our ass. That's not progress as far as I'm concerned. See, he measured progress based on how many boots he had in his ass. Well, remember, our ancestors had 100 boots up their ass. We only got 80. But I'm telling you right now, freedom means no boots up in your ass. No knee on your neck. That's freedom. How can you say you're free when you still got 80 boots up in your ass and 80 knees on your neck? How do you feel comfortable with that? You feel comfortable as a slave. I'm not comfortable with no boots in my ass or knees on my neck. When I get rid of all the knees and boots, then I'm free. And then I can say I'm comfortable now. Because this is true freedom. How can you say you're free when you got 80 boots up your ass? He just looked at me like he wasted his time to come and see a brother. And I made it clear, you wasted your time to come and see me. Because you comfortable with 80 boots in your ass. I'm not. I don't want one boot in my ass. So, I mean, and we have to redefine what his freedom is to us. And not let people tell us what is freedom. Like, a lot of times brothers say, man, you know, when a brother got out, oh, he's free now. No, he's not. No, he's not. The fascist system still exists. You went from one battlefield to the next. That's it. One battlefield to the next. That's all you did. It's again, I tell people, we have to reevaluate what we do. Because our affair is more to do with us than the government. Fascism, sexism, racism, colonialism, neocolonialism, imperialism, capitalism is only as strong as we make it strong. Bottom line. It's on us. We can weaken capitalism. We can weaken fascism, colonialism. We can weaken the belly of the beast. Like a cancer. We can weaken it from inside. But it's one compromise after another. We rather fight each other, or we quickly go after each other. You got different radical groups that spend more time talking about the next radical group. And all we gotta do is look at the new Black Panther Party. It's like 50, 60 of them. It should have just been one. Should have been just one. And a lot of them don't even get together. They don't even get along. Who do we blame that on? Who do we blame that on? Constructive criticism is a tool to correct. Is a tool to reevaluate. It's not destructive in nature when it's constructive. How this criticism will affect you depends on how you accept it. Objectively or subjectively. If you accept it subjectively, you'll never get it. You'll never grow or develop. No matter how long you've been in the struggle. I had this quote I wrote when I was in solitary confinement years ago. Study to know to teach, teach to build, build to win. If you call yourself, if you even want to get to know anything, you must study. If you call yourself a teacher, you must know. And if you think if you want to win, you must teach. Either we win or we don't lose. Blood in, blood out. Peace.